Welcome back to McChats here on McGTV, youtube.com/MikeMcGTV. Follow me on Twitter at MikeMcGTV. Good to be back here doing a McChats. Happy New Year to everybody. Welcome again, Angry Mr. Dan and John Orlando from the PVDCast.
Hey guys.
So it's good to be talking with you guys again. I don't believe we've talked since, was it Firecracker or was it something else? I can't remember.
I think it was Firecracker.
It was Firecracker. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So back in the summer at some point, but I figured usually this is my end of the year kind of, or since we're well into the new year at this point, my year in review of 2020 for movies and TV shows, not for life in general, because that'll take a whole series of videos.
Are you sure? Because I can think we can just do life real quick and just go, it sucked.
It sucked.
That's it, and then move on.
There we go.
Lots of home.
There we go. There's lots of home. It sucked. There's your viral clip right there. 2020 year in review overall. But I figured this time around, instead of just listing off the media that I ingested over the year and, have thoughts on, I'd invite a couple more people on here and we could kind of just go over like movies, shows, interesting things that we picked up on this year, since we had, like you said, a lot more time at home and a lot more time to absorb a lot of media. So this really is a pretty loose format. What I was thinking was I'd just say like, okay, this genre of TV show or movies, if any interesting examples came to mind for you. I'm not going to go over everything I saw necessarily, just the ones that stood out. But let me start off here. Action adventure wise, what were some movies or some shows that grabbed your attention this year, good or bad?
Dan, I'll let you go first.
Okay, I checked out both Extraction and The Old Guard, both Netflix originals. They're okay. I don't share like Max's love of kicking children off of roofs. It is funny, yes, but you can't really base a movie on it. The big action adventure like right now, because it came out like 4 days ago, was Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah,
I am not a big fan.
It was funny in our group chats. Like, you'd be hard pressed to find someone who enjoyed a majority of that film.
I didn't enjoy it, but I didn't hate it like some people do. Like some people it's the worst film ever made. And I'm like, okay, it was bad. It had problems.
Yes.
But there were a couple of things that I liked about it, so I don't know. The bar was set very high with the first one, I feel too. I feel if it doesn't reach close enough to that, then, it was going to be a failure.
Yeah.
I think the main problem with it for me anyway is the plot. I mean, it just completely falls apart. like the whole thing is based on wishes, and it's just a weird non-tangible thing. So it can be like, oh yeah, to see the plot has to go here, so now the wishes do this and they do that, and the main villain is just completely dumb.
Yes,
his kid is the most annoying thing in the movie. I think is like, oh daddy, you're back. I wished you back. And it's like, oh Jesus, shut up, kid. Shut up.
That's the thing. There could have been, like you said, there's things in the story that definitely needed once, twice, three times over. That especially because that wasn't a character, that was a plot contrivance.
Yeah.
The kid was basically a vehicle to get that character to that point, instead of like, hey, let's actually, I don't know, develop this relationship. Let's actually make it that's the problem too. It got very Schumacher Batman-y, Spider-Man 3E in the fact that pick a villain. Just pick a villain.
Well,
one of the two.
And I felt like I liked Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian, but he was god awful as Maxwell Lord. He was terrible.
I did my video review on this, and I'll probably do a bunch of other videos because there is quite a few other issues in this movie I found that I'm just like, yikes. But one of them was that I think this is just him cutting loose because he has to act so quiet and reserved, and because his face is hidden in the Mandalorian.
Oh, okay. Well, good point. But You got to rein him in if you're Patty Jenkins. You just can't let him just chew up the scenery. I mean, because man, he was just way over the top.
I mean, that would have been better, I think, if everybody just chewed the scenery. Oh, the freaking love story. Don't get me started on that shit. But hold on,
Okay.
I had another thought before that just popped in my head. So basically, your main villain goes from being some kind of oil baron to being like the best televangelist in the world.
Yep, pretty much.
and it's just I don't understand.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to disagree with you, Dan. I did think that the Steve Trevor storyline was interesting.
Okay.
I felt it interesting because he died. How are you going to bring him back? You brought him back this way. The choice that you made the wish and now your powers are spotty at best. I dug that. I liked that. I thought that was different, albeit it was problematic because you're also focusing on the villain of Maxwell Lord and his relationship. There's just too much going on, but I didn't mind the love story, to be honest.
The actual love story, like the way it starts and you know the way it progresses, that doesn't bother me. What bothers me is two things. One, like when she finally says goodbye, she like runs away like any, you know, it's like the annoying runaway in like every comedy when
Oh, okay.
and two, his whole speech on how you fly is just like, you just gotta feel it. It's like wind and stuff, and then she can fly. Hooray!
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Like that's how they teach aerodynamics in school. It's just, you know, there's
You just
wind
gotta
and
feel
you gotta
it.
feel it. Yeah. now get in that plane and fly it.
It's the Harrison Ford school of flying.
Yes.
That's probably what he
Only
says to
one.
himself. You just gotta feel it.
Did you expect Wonder Woman to break out into R. Kelly? I believe I can fly.
Oh God.
It would make the movie even more problematic. There's a lot
That
there,
too.
there's a lot of stuff in this movie that, like I said, I basically gave a summary of like, I'm with you more, John, where it's just like, it's perfectly harmless, fine, but there's issues. And and the more I thought about it, I'm like, actually, you know what? No, there's a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And first of all, that love story, I'm kind of like, they didn't do enough with it, I felt, for it to warrant him coming back, other than we need Chris Pine back because he was one half of this duo that really popped on screen in the first movie, so we need to recapture that. So that's why he's back. Second of all, they straight up ghost hijacked the dude's body for sex.
Yeah.
That's a little weird.
What happened to that dude?
Yeah, and they're constantly like putting this guy, this empty vessel basically of a body, in danger for Steve.
Yes.
And it's just like, and there's some political stuff. I'm not talking about like the Pedro Pascal is a allegory for Trump. Like I honestly, aside from him just having the flimsy hair and kind of looking like him, that's about all I really did get out of it, because he was, I don't know, just way too over the top.
Mm-hmm.
But no, there's the Middle East stuff. I'm kind of like, okay, I'm gonna have to come back to this later. Like I gotta do my due diligence on more research and on like the IDF and things, because I'm kind of like, that whole sequence, I was like, yikes.
Yeah. I would say like this is like the new Catwoman.
I wouldn't go that far.
I would.
I'm not going that far either. Yeah.
I can't.
Here's
I'm with
the
Mike
thing.
on this one.
Like, you know, like Catwoman, this doesn't have any kind of solid plot or really like a solid villain. You get
Wait a minute. Dan, have you seen the New Mutants?
No, I have not.
What a segue.
Is that
I will tell you
Catwoman?
right now. when Mike threw out action adventure, I'm like, oh, the New Mutants was god awful. It was terrible. There's no villain. There's no plot. There's teenagers with superpowers that never really use them. It's terrible. It's awful.
It sounds great.
Oh my god, it's terrible.
Well,
when you were watching it, you're like, yeah, this is why it got shelved multiple times. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's got the feel of a movie that was shelved, picked up again for reshoots, and shelved again. Like it definitely it reeks of like, let's just finally put this dog out of its misery, because it's like,
yes. Mike, did you view it?
I did finally watch it. And yeah, I don't know. It was another kind of like, I see what they're going for. They want to be Stranger Things so bad, because when this came out, Stranger Things was at like its most powerful.
Yes.
Not when it came out, but when it was first being developed, they were like, oh, we need so much so we'll put one of the Stranger Things kids in this movie. And yeah, I could tell what they wanted to do with it, but then it was just kind of like, yeah, this really isn't working. And it honestly, it's kind of like when you deal with characters that have such a smorgasbord of powers with very little setup into who they are or how they utilize these powers, it falls apart. Like the bear thing, I was just like, oh yeah, that's her power, I guess. Sorry, Dan. Spoilers. There's a bear.
Oh no! I was just thinking, there's a bear.
It was bad. The only good thing about it was that the kids watch Buffy. That's it. That's all I can say.
I love Buffy.
Here's the thing. I do genuinely like portions of the movie when they are just hanging out together and they're not up each other's asses about being jerks to each other. Like when they actually do settle in, like that part in the attic where they're just kind of hanging out and doing light as a feather, stiff as a board, light as a, or whatever the fuck they were. Oh, the lie detector test or something. I actually kind of like that scene a little bit because first of all, it's the first time, what's her name? Anya Taylor-Joy stops being such a bee to everybody. And I typically like her in a lot of stuff. Like I like her in The Witch. I liked her in Thoroughbreds. And there was another movie she was in.
She was in The Queen's Gambit.
The Queen's Gambit. Split. I liked her in Split. But like in here where she's playing Ileana, who is Colossus's little sister in the comics, like I was just like, no one likes you. Why are you being why are you being so? But that was the first time it was like humanizing all the characters. That one moment, I was like, okay, I can dig this, and then it slid back into nonsense. But
Mike, how about you with action adventure? Did you?
Well, I started off the year, even before the pandemic hit. Started off the year with a fun little movie called Doolittle.
Oh, that's on mine too.
Have you seen Doolittle, John?
No, I have not.
Oh, buddy.
It's all over the place.
I was curious about this movie just because it's like, okay, it's Robert Downey Jr.'s starring vehicle post Iron Man. Now he's like, okay, I really want to just take the lead in a lot of like out there stuff. Sure, I want to be that guy. This wasn't it. This is holy, like the first Dr. Doolittle, the original one from like the 60s or 70s. It's a notorious flop.
Yeah, but it's a relatively small scale film. I mean, this is like, we're going to take this flop and we're going to make it. We're just going to
spend
extremely
billions of
big
dollars on it.
Like it's something when the Eddie Murphy Doolittle is probably the most competent Doolittle movie.
And those weren't that good, except for the little animal running down the guy's leg in the beginning of the first one, I think.
Right. But I mean, there's no pomp or pageantry to the introduction of Doolittle. It's just, and plus his sidekicks throughout this, the kid and the boy and the girl in this are just like wooden planks. And I'm like, these kids are so underwhelmingly like not in awe of anything that's happening around. And there's like talking animals.
Yeah. But
so you would think that would be like oh my God, this monkey just talked to me, or or this camel just talked to me, but no, nothing.
It's like Star Wars prequel acting.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I don't know what accent Robert Downey Jr. is trying to do it, but you can tell it's all the accents and it's all ADR. There's at no point when I'm watching the movie where I'm like, oh, that's actually like his on-set audio. Like, no, it's like he is ADR'd up in this movie. It is annoying. And it's all him going, well, you seem to have a blockage in your coat. Oh, well, the dragon. We got to talk about the dragon. There's a scene, I will say there's a scene in this movie that I'm kind of like, this is a kid's film.
Yeah, just don't ruin it for John.
I won't ruin it.
Go watch Doolittle, John.
Okay. No, you can find it on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah,
just look up Doolittle dragon scene and.
Oh, okay. All right, we're gonna do that. I may hate you gentlemen later, but
it's okay.
Okay.
But you'll be like, this is meant for kids. But no, it's such a misfire in my opinion.
The whole movie is just, it's giant. I mean, it's memorable
Mm-hmm.
because on my list I have Bloodshot, and I didn't bring it up because I don't remember anything about the movie.
That's based on Valiant.
Yeah.
The Valiant character, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know if this fits into action adventure. I'm not sure where it fits, but I loved, and one of the highest rated movies that I loved this past year, The Invisible Man.
I'd say that's like action horror almost, or suspense thriller.
I mean, it was fantastic.
Well,
Straight A for me.
Really?
We each threw out an action movie. Let's go into horror here.
Okay.
Go with Invisible Man. Yeah.
The Invisible Man I thought was really well done. I mean, you take the classic tale, you update it to a modern sensibility. I felt Elizabeth Moss did a fantastic job of being the deranged wife, girlfriend. I can't remember if she's wife or girlfriend. I think she's wife.
Girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. And just the way that, he's coming after me, but he's not. And like just the whole way that the whole story unfolds. And I liked the fact that the ending is a little ambiguous. You don't know what exactly to make of it. I like that. Lee Wanell, I mean, I loved Upgrade. So this being his, next big feature in Hollywood, dug it. I felt like it was fantastic all the way around.
I like too that it's basically it is a great kind of parallel for like actual emotional abuse and physical abuse that goes on in relationships, because that opening sequence, before there's ever like an Invisible Man even in the story, like that opening sequence was tense. Like I was like, what is going on? Like, because I'm scared with her, and it's like the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm terrified with her, and nothing fantastical has happened yet. And it's and the fact that it opens up with such a gut punch about like, this is what real abuse looks like. Now let's add in the idea like you can't see the person who's abusing you, and they know how to play all these mind games. And so like that scene in the attic with the phone and everything.
Oh yeah.
That also jolted me quite a bit. That the dude, well, how about with the twist about a third of the way or 2/3 of the way through the movie, where they're,
oh yeah,
were you buying that for a second?
I was locked in. I really was. I was kind of like, I don't know what to make of this. And that's why I like the ending, because the ending is very kind of ambiguous as to what really was going on. Like, was this really the way it was, displayed for us all as the viewers? I dug it. I liked it a lot.
And yeah, her performance like anchors you. And like, I would not have been as affected by the movie if like the performance was half-assed, because she's pouring a lot of physicality into it as well, because she has to pretend like she's being dragged around and choked, and it's like, you got to sell that. Like,
yes. I give it, it was the best movie of 2020, I think.
It was a pretty solid watch for me too, because I watched it here at home. I didn't watch it in the theater, but I watched it at home and like had the lights out. I'm like, I need to turn a light on at least. Like,
I watched it at home too, but I did not have the lights out. I had the one lamp on.
Dan, do you have a horror movie that stood out to you?
Yes, I do. First, I did watch Corona Zombies after it was on the Cinema Snob show. It is just as bad as his review of it. But no, I watched Netflix's The Babysitter Part 2, and no one ever talks about those, but I freaking love those flicks.
Was The Babysitter the first one on Netflix exclusive too? Okay.
Yeah. Basically, there's this kid who's probably too old to have a babysitter anyway. Still, he's like the nerdy kid and stuff, and his babysitter's this super hot chick, and so she's drugging him to go to bed so that her friends can come over and do a satanic ritual to live forever with his virgin blood. And so the first one is all about this all like her high school friends and stuff are like chasing this kid around, and trying to kill him, and they all die in horrible ways. The second one is the same kid is now all messed up because this shit happened to him before. So he goes to this party on the beach, and for some reason, like they all of his old babysitter's friends show up again, and they're still trying to get him. But it had a weird twist ending, and the more I thought about it, the more I liked it. So that gets pretty high ratings for me.
Cool. So that was the Babysitter 2.
Yes, Killer Queen, I think it's called.
Killer Queen. Okay. Okay. At any point, do they play the song?
I don't remember.
I think, Mike, that would be a large check to write.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, it is Netflix though, so I might have to check it out now.
I mean, they got the money. I think they can have the money.
Yeah, they do have the money, and it was definitely a higher budget than Corona Zombies. So,
I mean, sure. I watched this movie called Relic. I believe it was on Amazon. If anyone is ever a fan of like the it's like a spiritual continuation of the Babadook to some extent. I felt
cool.
And for a while, it was another unsettling type of movie, but for very different reasons. Like this one, if Invisible Man spoke to like the idea of like abuse in a relationship, this one spoke to like the feeling or themes of like mental health. In like families and things like that, like a little bit of Hereditary, but I think you probably enjoy this more than Hereditary, Dan.
Okay,
you probably would enjoy this a little bit more.
I hated Hereditary. It's just
but no, it was interesting, and like some questions just, I don't know, came to mind for me of being like, how much of it was real, how much of it was perhaps just fantasized by one of the characters and things like that. It's trippy. It's really trippy, but it gets gross too. At certain point, it gets really gross. So the practical gross effects, I think you'd actually like quite a bit. The final scene, I'm pretty sure they used a lot of practical in that final scene, and that's an image that stays with you for a while. And I'm just like, okay. But effective at what it did in terms of horror. I don't know if there were any others that came to mind for any of you guys.
No, I don't have any other horror flicks on my list.
I've got old horror flicks, but nothing new.
Yeah. So, we're gonna stick with the ones that
good.
Yeah. How about like say dramas? Any dramas or? I would even count like say like suspense, true crime.
I'll go with the Netflix original, The Trial of the Chicago 7.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was good. I felt really honestly that Sacha Baron Cohen did a fantastic job as Abby Hoffman. Like when I think of Sacha Baron Cohen, I automatically go to Borat and Bruno and Ali G, and I don't see him as a serious actor. And I know he's got the chops. I mean, he's been in lots of things, but it still is always kind of jarring. And maybe it was more so because I had saw Borat 2 a couple of weeks prior to watching this movie that I'm like, wow, he's really damn good at acting, but so I really dug that. I thought it was really interesting, and it spoke to, obviously some of the problems that we had in our own country this year, because, what happened in 1968, somewhat still happening now. So I liked it. So that would be my drama pick.
Dan, how about for you?
I watched Hamilton. That's a drama.
Oh, the stage show, right?
Yeah. I dug it. I really liked how they did like just the stage mechanics were phenomenal. Like just shit moving in and out, and everybody's got to choreograph getting to the other side of the thing before they could get nailed by the giant stairway. But yeah, I mean, it's like 3 hours or so long, and it held my attention. I liked it.
It's very minimalist, right? Like there's not a lot of big flash or anything outside of the costumes, probably.
Yeah, the dude that plays Hamilton is awesome. So is the guy that played Washington.
Okay.
So
well, I didn't see any dramas that I necessarily enjoyed. I watched Devil All the Time, and yeah, John, there we go.
I was so just that takes my biggest disappointment. I really was looking forward to that because I heard the author on NPR talk about the books, and I'm like, this sounds awesome.
Yeah.
You know, you got Tom Holland, you got Jason Clarke, you got Robert Pattinson. Great, this is gonna be great, and it just it goes nowhere.
Yeah, it did make me think, like, next time I drive down Route 33, I'm gonna be like, man, this is miserable. Next time I'm in town. And then I watched Hillbilly Elegy, and I got nothing to say about that.
I read part of the book.
It has all the emotional resonance of a Hallmark film, and I was just like, all right, this kid's still an asshole. I don't care. So next up, comedies. Any good laugh riots that you were able to find yourselves in this year?
Yes.
Go ahead, Dan.
I watched 5 minutes of Hubie Halloween before I realized that was a Sandler film, and I was like, yeah, no.
Oh wait, so you went in being like, oh, what's this? Oh wait.
There was the big banner, and I was like, oh, it's a Halloween movie. As I click, and it's like, nope. But my movie of the year was Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Yes.
Because I love that flick.
Mm-hmm.
I love everything about that flick. It's big and it's dumb and it's the best thing I've seen all year.
It won me over in like the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
Something about that wedding scene.
The weird ass instruments and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that, you know, the two mains can still do Bill and Ted, and I love that they brought in the two girls to do their daughters. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah. Samara Weaving from Ready or Not plays. She plays young Ted, but her name's like Theodora or something like that.
Yeah.
Because they named, of course, they named their kids after each other.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, that whole relationship, like, even though they're well into their 50s now and stuff like that, it's still adorable. Like, and there was a lot of like stuff that spoke to me even now, like Ted saying like he had to sell his Les Paul. I'm just like,
oh no.
that cuts to the core of my heart right there.
Yes, it does.
Did you get to see it, John?
I did not get to see it, actually. I did not. So it's on my list of movies to catch up on because I missed it. But you guys put it over big time, and I feel like, you know, the original was dopey and ridiculous and silly, but fantastic in the same way. So I'll definitely catch up on that.
Is there a comedy that you were able to catch up with, or some?
Well, there were a couple of comedies. I gotta say the best one was the Netflix original, The Holiday. I did not really anticipate it being good. It's Emma Roberts is in it. Okay. And I can't remember who the Australian fellow is that plays the lead. It caught me for surprise. It caught me for a surprise because Emma Roberts plays Sloane, who's this woman that hates all holidays because when she interacts with her family, it's when you're going to get married, when you're going to have kids. And so she meets and I can't remember the Australian guy's name, but she meets him at the mall, and they just decide, hey, every holiday we're going to get together and we'll be each other's date so that your folks will leave you alone. Okay. And it's like, okay, this premise is, you know where it's going to go. Right. I mean, it's predictable, but it's really funny. It was really well written, and Emma Roberts does a really great job. And like I said, out of nowhere, I was like, wow, this is really good. So on the other end of the spectrum, the one that I was looking forward to that wasn't very good was Borat 2.
Oh, okay. Well, here's where we're going to differ, but go ahead.
I just, here's the problem, Mike. Because I'm a wrestling fan, I want to believe the tale you weave. And when you break from that, when you break from that, I was up to the first half of the movie. I was, yes, this is great. This is the old Borat I love. I had a major problem, and it has nothing to do with politics. It's just the way the scene was. I have a major problem with the Giuliani scene. Like from there on, I was out of it. I was snapped out of it. I don't really believe that was all just by happenstance that all that happened.
It's weird.
Yeah.
But like there's a lot of stuff I believe that was done in editing to make it look worse. It's still weird. It's still weird. And Giuliani, I still think is a piece of shit. But it's definitely structured and framed in a way where it's supposed to be like something, because it is a little bit more, it is an entrapment. Like that whole team and those actors, like they know what they're kind of doing at that point. But it's a lot of the edit and audio, especially like if you track that, you're kind of like, they're manipulating it a little bit more to make it worse than what's actually out. It's still bizarre, but it's definitely like played up to be grosser.
And I also feel like to an extent, I wouldn't be surprised if the truth was told that the producers weren't, hey Rudy, can you just go along with this? Yeah. Can you just kind of go along with us on this? And to me, that's what breaks the idea of Borat, because Borat is like hey, these people are unassuming. They don't know who I am. And like, so when that happened, like the last half of the movie, I just was out of it. I couldn't get back into it.
I will say, I think part of it, I mean, and it couldn't be helped because they were making this movie and then pandemic starts. So it's like,
true.
There was probably a lot of ideas that they want to flesh out more, or a lot of other alternate ideas they want to do, but because of the limitations of like where and when to shoot, they weren't able to, so they had to rework it into something else. And it feels like that in the movie now, because Borat was the one I was going to talk about. I still liked it, mainly because this one actually has a story that makes me care a little bit more about Borat. And like the actress playing his daughter is like really good in it. Like she is sharp, and she keeps pace with Cohen. And this is like, I don't know, I think this is like her first movie. And she's actually from, I believe, like Romania or somewhere. So like she speaks like 3 different languages, I believe, in real life. So it's kind of cool to see that relationship, and to kind of humanize the Borat character a little bit, even though he's mainly just kind of been used as sort of the setup to make people really look bad, which they'll do on their own. Like they'll dig their own grave, and there's plenty of that in this movie. But yeah, I'll agree with you. Like halfway through, when it's like, okay, we need to kind of cobble together some kind of narrative with the limited resources we're kind of working with now because of the pandemic. Yeah, that's where I feel it falters a little. Like in the beginning, it's got a pretty steady pace, and the stunts and the gags are pretty consistent. I'd say, after the outdoors rally, where apparently like he was like chased into a van after everyone got wise to what he was doing, because he's up on stage, and so like people finally got wise to what he was doing, and they're like, fuck this guy, and like chased him into his van and stuff like that. Like after that, that's when it starts to kind of really fall apart for me a little.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I gave it like a C in my little rating scale, but I expected more.
Yeah, especially since it's like Borat, that character especially kind of set the standard of like, this is how you punk people, like, and it actually leaves like a lasting impression. It's like, you just because honestly, the best moments in the first movie were when he would just kind of start the conversation and then people took it and ran with it. Like that one dude at the rodeo who's extremely racist and anti-Muslim, anti-Islamic. Like he took the cue from Cohen and just basically incriminated himself. Or like those frat guys. Who were drunk as shit, and like he didn't have to say anything. Like shades of that were in this movie when he's hiding out with those 2 guys in the cabin. Those dudes are like, those dudes are real. Those are actual like QAnon, conspiracy theorists, and who believe like this is all manufactured and stuff like that. Like, and he barely says anything in that montage. They're the ones saying all the crazy shit. But they're actually kind of endearing because they like help him find his daughter, and like they're actually trying to be nice people. Wow, humans are complex. But
the problem I think with the new Borat is that more. See, it worked in the first one when it was more general, but when you try to have like too fine of a satiric point, I think it gets lost.
Yeah, probably you're correct on that, Dan.
I would question though, is that necessarily the problem with Borat, or is that just because actually the real world's become kind of a pointed satire in and of itself?
It has, yet I mean, okay, this is why I usually lose the remake revolutions that we have. Like I hate it when movies beat me over the head with something that I'm supposed to come away with. It's so much better to subtly put it in there. And that's what being too topical, being too topical like ruins your film 5 years from now. Like the first Borat you can watch. I don't think you're going to be able to watch this one like 5 or 10 years from now and get the same laughs out of it.
Okay.
John, any thoughts?
Well, no, I mean, I think you're right on that, Dan. I think that it's not going to hold up well.
No.
As the original, I think does hold up well.
Yeah.
And maybe, and I agree with you. You made a point that I never thought about. Maybe we are, and Mike, you agreed. Maybe we are getting to a point, pun intended, where you fine tune your jokes, your laugh, your gags at something that is not going to 5 years from now, we're not going to look at, maybe, hopefully, I don't know. We can't predict the future, but maybe we're not going to look and go, oh yeah, that happened. I think Borat's broader because we still have people who are very xenophobic. Like that is a big point. And that's what that movie drives. We're trying to fine tune that down to the people that believe that, COVID is a hoax and that stuff, which maybe you're right on that. I mean, you got
that, you got QAnon, you got Trump, which are very pointed things.
Right.
And I don't like any of them. I'm not saying, oh man, I got angry at this movie because of this.
Because it's calling out those specific areas. It's like, is this still going to be something that people relate to or find funny? Like you said, when it's far removed from.
Yeah. Right.
It's like
I think that's a valid point.
It's like every one of the like the rip-off comic movies, like when they did the Matrix thing, because it was like obligatory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
go back and watch those now. They suck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could argue that was in the first Borat. Like the whole plot of the first Borat hinges on him trying to find Pamela Anderson.
Yeah,
that's kind of like, does that really play as relevant today? Because it's like Pamela Anderson hasn't done anything of any noteworthiness probably since that movie. So it's kind of like that kind of. But I don't know. In terms, the reason why is it's just like probably because me. I feel like this particular moment in history is going to leave such a lasting footprint just in general with a lot of people that are living through it.
Yeah.
That this is some stuff that people will probably revisit it and still have those feelings, like the conspiracy theory aspect of it. That's not going away. Like that's going to be with us until the sun gives out, if you believe in the sun. Crazy, but
there's gonna be new conspiracy theories though, because QAnon's gonna die out.
Well, that's the thing is that these pointed jabs at these specific figures and moment, like I feel that the comedy is polished enough that sure, these are very site-specific jokes right now for us.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, well, he's yelling at Mike Pence at CPAC, but then years from now, when you put into context, be like, Mike Pence was part of this, and this holds to a particular ideology that is still relevant and things like that. Like, I feel like the comedy is still effective in being able, like, we can take jabs at this person in the here and now, but people will still like get the gist of it later on. Like, I still get the gist of like him calling out, like I said, that dude at the rodeo in the first.
Oh yeah.
That dude's probably still around doing saying terrible shit.
That's just some random dude though.
I do like the more just person on the street stuff.
Like this, it's still funny, but it's like watching the My Fellow Americans movie and their jabs on Dan Quayle. You know, it's
Mhm.
like yeah, it's still funny to me, but
Because I lived it.
yeah, but
Yeah,
if I pointed to younger people, I'd be like, okay, it's kind of funny, I guess.
But I feel that that's the thing is that when it's like you said, I do agree with you when it's speaking to the more broad idea of like we make fun of how ridiculous this concept is when it's being put into actual practice. Like yeah, that'll stay with us. But like I agree with John, like halfway through the movie, just because of circumstances, they had to get more pointed. I feel they had to get more specific because
fair enough.
the shooting of the movie had to be more specific because it's like, oh my God, we're in the middle of like a crisis right now. How do we mold this into our movie? So
I mean, I thought the best part of the film was just like him and his daughter.
Oh yeah. That's my favorite part.
The oddly poignant story there.
It's like I said, it actually made him a character because otherwise you could just see
being
like this guy's just being annoying to people, but it's like no, this is Borat as an actual character now. It's like yeah, I love the babysitter in it though. Like that poor lady. Like he did a lot of good things for her after. Like he did like a fundraiser for her, you know, like got her a $50,000, $100,000 or something like that after that because she didn't know that it was for Borat. Even though she comes off as one of the nicer people in the movie.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But yeah. So okay, comedy then.
Hooray.
To kind of completely heel turn, this was a category that I found myself not enjoying, but taking a lot of examples from this year, especially was documentaries.
I have a couple.
Docuseries. Go take the lead, John. Go for it.
I'll tell you right now, this is the second best movie I saw of 2020, and Jason and I got an opportunity to talk to the director of the film, Class Action Park. Fantastic. That HBO Max documentary was amazing. Just I think the theme a little bit is, you know, how capitalism runs amok, but it was just so like it has that in it, but then it also has like Chris Gethard, the comedian, talking about like, man, everybody went to Action Park because that's what you did in New Jersey, you know, and so it's a mix of like capitalism mixed with nostalgia kind of rolled together. And some of the insane stuff that went on at that park, I mean, it was great. It was fantastic. So if you have not seen Class Action Park and you have HBO Max, fix it. Go and watch it right now. Well, maybe not right now, but when we're done here, go watch it.
I liked it too because I saw that was one I saw as well. It was a mixture of emotions because I'm like, this is kind of badass, and I also felt like I had tetanus while watching it. Because I was like, I would have died at this park, honestly.
Yeah.
I would have been one of those kids.
Yeah, and this is the other thing I'm going to say, and I am a big wrestling fan, as everybody knows, and I love Vice's Dark Side of the Ring. And Chris Gethard hosted like an after show, and every time I would see a commercial for the after show, I was like, this guy's so weird. I don't like this dude. I'm not watching the show. But then you see him like unfiltered and like just completely like in his own element. I'm like, this is what I like. This guy's awesome. I can't believe it's the same guy. You know?
There you go.
So new respect.
Humans are complex, dude. Humans are
Yeah.
complex. Dan, was there any documentaries or anything that you?
I've also seen that, and I really liked it. but I don't know when they made it, but the whole the spaceship suicide cult thing was on HBO Max.
The Heaven's Gate.
Yeah. There I keep forgetting the name of the place, but yeah, that was horribly depressing and yet good. So.
I'll tell you one that was horribly depressing, but also fascinating, and it's a docuseries on Vice, While the Rest of Us Die. It is amazing.
Yeah,
so
it's kind of like.
Well, here the thing is, this is the weirdest thing. Like I stumbled across it, and it was the episode on 9/11, and I was captivated by it because of the whole, you know, chain of command was kind of broken on that day because nobody could get in touch with anybody else and whatnot. And I was like, okay, cool. So, but then I started watching more of them because each episode has like kind of a theme. And then I realized, wait a minute, I remember like 2 or 3 years ago, I vividly remember this. I was driving to Worthington to have dinner and a couple of beers with my friend and my cousin. And I remember driving, I was listening to NPR, and they had Garrett Graff on talking about his book, which is what this docuseries is based on, about all of the hidden bunkers and how, the Cold War shaped our ideas about propaganda and the truth from government and all that jazz. And so when I was like, oh, this is it. And it was absolutely fascinating, horribly scary, but nonetheless interesting.
Nice. What's it called again?
While the Rest of Us Die.
While the Rest of Us Die. So it's a Vice exclusive.
It's a Vice, yeah. It's 5 1 hour episodes.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think there's a colon America's shadow government or something. But
sure.
just look for When the Rest of Us Die. I don't think there's any other. I don't think there's any other movie or docuseries called that. So I don't think there's any.
Part 3, a series of unfortunate events.
Another colon. We're not paranoid, really.
Really. Subtitle. Seriously, share a tin of baked beans with us.
You can watch this. Got a can opener?
Let me in your bomb shelter.
Yes.
So I got into some similar documentaries as well, like kind of more like serious minded, especially some true crime stuff. Like I watched Athlete A and American Crime Stories, like the Chris Watts doc, and I was just like, these are bumming me out because these are just really sad stories that don't put much faith in the system for me. But the one documentary that did leave like a positive vibe with me was Feels Good Man, and I think I talked about this on 3 Geeks a little bit. It's about Pepe the Frog and the creator Matt Fury, who is actually a brother. He's the older brother to one of our friends, Jason Fury. Who's been on 3 Geeks, I know, every once, and been on a remake. But like it's a documentary that follows him from when he first came up with the character of Pepe, and then it gets into like a little bit of internet, lore and stuff like that, which I wasn't aware of. And like exploring the history of memes and things like that, but then gets into where Pepe was basically hijacked for more, let's say, not so great purposes. And kind of how Matt deals with that. And like, he's just the most like adorable, sweet natured dude that you're kind of like, you do feel a lot of empathy with like his creation basically being appropriated. But at the same time, you're kind of like, how realistic of a goal is it for him to be able to kind of reclaim the positive aspects of that image or of that character in this day and age when it's become kind of so far gone from what it was originally.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting movie, and it went into like some really like sadder territory, but also a lot of like hopeful, and like the ending, I can't help but feel a little bit of hopefulness because there are some really cool animations done of Pepe and the other characters from the Boys Club comics that are interlaced throughout the movie that work really well. And so you could tell this was done more as like a labor of love to Matt and to his artistic sensibilities than anything else. So I thought it was okay. Good. You kind of got into this a little bit with talking about the Vice series and talking about Heaven's Gate, but like TV shows, series that you may have picked up on this year.
I caught up on a few, but I mean, if you're talking about things that came out in 2020, I really like Stargirl on the CW. I thought it was fun. It was hokey a little bit, but it works within that universe. I really liked Stargirl. I thought it was good. I mean, obviously, I think we're all going to say The Mandalorian was fantastic as well, which season 2 was. I really am enjoying, because I'm going back and watching, because they have the documentaries for like season 1, and then I think they have one for season 2 as well. So I'm going back right now and checking those out and learning a little bit more about the process of how they filmed them and whatnot, which is great. So I think those would be the two that I would pick: Stargirl and The Mandalorian.
Okay. Dan?
Probably doesn't count because it was released on New Year's Day, but I watched season 3 of Cobra Kai.
No, I'd
really
say that counts.
And Mandalorian
Sure.
was really good. I'm still watching Letterkenny. That's also good.
You were
Oh, I
talking.
want to get into that. Where's
Yeah.
is that streaming on Netflix?
Hulu.
That's on Hulu.
Okay, it's on Hulu. Okay.
Yeah, they just released their I think season 7 or 8.
Okay.
So yeah, it's still good.
Yeah, I've seen clips, and most recently, the one that made me go, "Yes, I got to see this," is the clip about the hockey coach.
Yeah.
Or kicking the trash can. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, the whole thing is really well done. I mean,
Okay.
it's just a giant bunch of word puns and shit.
Okay.
But I can't really think of anything else.
I'll agree with you guys about Mandalorian, especially. I haven't really gotten into DC shows in a long time, but definitely I was able to catch up on the second season of Mandalorian, and yeah, I'll admit it's solid. But that's the thing is like I'm notorious on Three Geeks for being like, whatever. I'm not really into the hype of new Star Wars stuff because I'm kind of I kind of want Star Wars to go away at this point. I feel it's being I feel it's kind of bad for everyone's mental health at this point, but like I want to be able to miss it for a while and then have it come back and be glorious. But if it's doing
totally agree.
If it's
totally
doing,
agree.
Yeah, if it's doing consistent quality work like this second season was, I'm fine with that. I don't know if I'll tune into all the spin-offs that are going to be branching out from it or not, but this season was fine, solid. I got into Lovecraft. I know this was kind of into I don't know if it was into the end of 2019 and then the new year, or if it started well into the new year of 2020. I'm trying to remember.
I thought it started well into the year, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Because it wasn't that long, and it's
that's right. Yeah,
the season's over now.
Yeah, the season's been well over for a while. So yeah, I really got into Lovecraft Country. It was surreal and weird. I kind of love the ending. It involves a robot arm, so I'm like, yes, okay. So
I'm still halfway through it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I got into the first 3 episodes, and then I kind of went away from it for a while, just because I was like, I don't know if I'm really gonna be able to commit to a weekly tune in for this. I can just catch up later, and when I caught up later, I'm like, awesome. Like there's a lot of really good, outstanding moments, outstanding performances. I like the dude who's gonna be Kang in whatever movie. He's a solid choice, I feel, to play Kang. I liked what's her name, Journey Smollett from Birds of Prey. She's basically the lead of the show, and Michael K. Williams was really solid in it too. So, yeah.
I think I'll throw out another one too, real quick. Was I liked, and I don't know if it came out in 2020. I think it might have been a end of 2019, but I watched it in 2020. Is Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix.
Was that that might have been 2019 maybe?
Yeah,
I think it was. I think it was, but I really liked it. There were some episodes that sucked, but most of them I thought were pretty
Is it
good.
ongoing, or was it just limited to?
I think it was just limited to that set of small short films that they all pieced together as an episode.
Okay. Cool. Well, I guess I'd leave us on this note of, is there anything that you've heard about in 2021 that you're looking forward to, aside from, vaccination?
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Dune.
knock on wood. What was that?
Dune.
Dune. Yeah.
Yes.
What is the deal with that now? Because that was a big thing in the end of 2020 was the HBO Max announcement.
Yeah.
Are they rescinding on that one? Are they being like,
no? I think it's full throttle go.
Yeah, I thought it was the whole year of
it is
Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah, it is. Dune is November.
Yeah.
Like Godzilla and Kong is May.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They got some interesting titles that I've never really heard about. I was like, well, I'll see what that is.
It's weird though, because like Legendary, who I believe that Dune and Godzilla versus Kong are their properties. Okay. I know they were shopping Godzilla v Kong around to like Netflix and stuff like that before they announced the HBO Max stuff.
Yeah.
So part of me was kind of like, well, if you were gonna do a streaming release anyways for that, like what's the issue with this particular streaming release, or if there's something having to do with like contracts that Warner Brothers flubbed on, because a lot of the creatives are pissed regarding their announcement.
Really?
Oh yeah. Christopher Nolan had like this whole outspoken. I mean, like a lot of celebrities and creatives who work with Warner Brothers are feeling betrayed by this announcement.
Huh.
I'm like, sorry,
Because
dude. Your movie didn't save cinemas.
No, I feel that Nolan completely screwed that so bad. He's like, oh, you need to see my movie in the cinemas, and it made nobody give a shit.
Yeah.
If you would have released that like right after like Netflix did Tiger King, like everybody would have watched it. But just saying, oh, we're just gonna shelve it, and then the next thing I hear about it, it's on Blu-ray, and I'm like, yeah, I still haven't seen it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing too, is like you'd think because it's a Warner Brothers movie that it would go to say HBO Max immediately upon, but he's holding that. He's like, nope, fuck you guys. I'm hanging on to this. People got to buy this. But we'll see.
I think the only thing I'm really looking forward to, which drops in a couple weeks, I want to see what happens with WandaVision.
Oh yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
I mean,
like 2 weeks it's coming out.
Yeah, January 15th. I'm very, very interested in what goes on with that particular project, more so than maybe any of the other. I like What If. I've always liked that as a comic, so I'm looking forward to that. But that's not till the summertime. But I'm curious to see what happens with WandaVision.
Well, I am curious about that too. Maybe that's a show where I'll finally be like I know I saw Mandalorian, but I saw Mandalorian by not, subscribing to Disney Plus means. Who knows? Maybe WandaVision will be the show that I'm kind of like, maybe I will do a trial just to kind of see what.
I'll be honest. I put Netflix to bed for a little bit because I'm like, I don't see me watching much of Netflix in the next, if we're back to kind of some semblance of normalcy. I don't see me watching a lot of Netflix, and I'd rather spend the money on Disney Plus because I'd rather catch all the Marvel stuff, so I kind of put it on hiatus for a little while, and I'm going to stick with Disney Plus.
I need to see if Disney Plus has like a deal, because that's the reason I have Hulu now, is because I did do a deal where it's like for the full year I only pay $1.99 a month.
Yeah, they do. They have one of those, but I think it's a package deal. I think you have to get ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus, and you get it for like $12.
Okay.
ESPN Plus sucks, by the way.
It does,
because there's nothing on there at all. It's kind of hilarious.
You would think they would just broadcast the regular, like you could have access to some of the stuff they broadcast on the regular ESPN, but no.
No. You gotta watch all those 10 for 10s, and then you can watch some
UFC
some
prelims,
soccer from like Uganda or something.
Yeah, UFC prelims with a bunch of fighters you've never heard of.
Yeah.
I would say the thing I'm looking forward to, it's not a specific product or a specific service or anything, but definitely if we do get to a point at some point in 2021 where restrictions are, lifted and we are able to open up again, what is going to be that first movie that people are going to return to cinemas for en masse? Like,
not Tenet.
Not Tenet, obviously, unless he's going to be like, well, now I'm going to bring it back.
Yeah, watch.
It's the director's cut. And literally there's one scene put in, and it's like, oh, thank you. One scene with Denzel Washington. Thanks. That warrants.
I can't believe I've never heard that. I'm sure it's been done to death before.
I stole that from Honest Trailers, but I was like, that's really good. I'm using that.
Wait till next episode when I just bitch about that director dude and how everybody loves him.
Nolan. Yeah, I was
Nolan.
like the guy we've been talking. That director.
Dude. Yeah, that director dude. Sorry.
He hates him. Mike, he hates him so much.
It could have been the other one.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, which director did? There's quite a few directors I'm kind of over. Let's.
Yeah. I mean, oh wait, we got to see that new Batman v Superman cut.
Oh no, Justice. Yeah, Zack Snyder's
Justice League or whatever the hell it is. I don't care.
At this point, that's more of a curiosity for me because I'm like, I've already got the service. I'll probably watch it, but it's at this point I'm like, I'm not expecting great things from it, but I'm definitely curious to be like, just how much of this movie was excised earlier on, and how much is going to be glaringly obvious reshoots.
Agreed.
We'll see.
Are you going to have schoolgirls shooting dragons and then getting lobotomized? It sounds
sure.
That's high art right there, buddy.
It was symbolic, Dan, of
It was not symbolic of shit, sir.
something. I don't even know at this point.
I mean, you could match them together and you could make it all gritty and realistic. Where there's a bat car opener.
That was my big thing about Wonder Woman. Is like there were moments where I'm like, this still feels like a Zack Snyder. Like, and he's producer, it makes sense. It's like the cheetah fight. I was like, this feels like a Zack Snyder scene because it's all dark and gritty. I'm like, this would have been so much better to fight cheetah. I don't know, in the jungle, like where cheetahs live, where it's lush and tropical and bright and colorful, maybe.
As long as we're bringing it back.
I think it's a full circle. We started with Wonder Woman 1984, full circle. We're ending with it.
The part that I knew it sucked was like 5 minutes in, when the guys robbed the
Commando Mall.
Yeah. And the one guy grabs the kid and he holds him over the railing, and you get this like shot of this random dude's going, no.
Oh man, that was pure Raimi Spider-Man at that point. Like,
no,
it was I don't know. I was kind of on board for that cheese. If the whole movie had been that cheesy, I would have been fine. Like, I'm like, I get it now. But
Raimi understood that you could let it hang out if you had some kind of emotion to it. Like, if they grabbed it from that dude, it would have made sense. But as far as I know, it's just some random dude that just wants to scream no for a full 5 seconds.
I mean, it's just as corny as like a random bystander on the street being like, "It's Spider-Man."
Yeah.
And points up in the sky and it's like, what is that, your girlfriend or something? Like, why is she so excited to see you, Spider-Man?
I don't know. I just like I can look past it for the Raimi movies, but not 3. But yeah, like in that it's supposed to be, I don't know. It's like DC's always like the gritty company.
I think the problem is DC has a tone. They're all over the place. They have a tone problem.
I mean, if they wanted to do cheesy ass Wonder Woman, it would have been fine. But they didn't.
Right.
Who knows? We'll see what 3 has in store for us. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on this little year-end wrap-up. Some interesting choices, and I'll have to check out actually some of the stuff you recommended, and hopefully you check out some of the stuff. Again, just look up Dragon Scene, John. You don't need to see the movie.
Yeah.
All right.
But again, you can catch John Orlando over at the PVDcast.com. You can catch more of Dan over at 3geeks.ninja and on YouTube with 3 Geeks Podcast. And of course, I am Mike McG here on McChats at youtube.com/Mike McGTV. Thank you, gentlemen. I look forward to working more with you in the year 2021.
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
Maybe actually seeing you in person at some point.
Maybe.
Wow.
Shaking hands, things like that, normal pre-2020 shit.
Amazing.